Welcome to the very first release of our new podcast, BK Wrestling.
I'm Brice,
And I'm Kate.
and this is our new podcast where we talk about current wrestling events, reflect on wrestling legends of the past, and our reactions to pay-per-views, or as WWE likes to call them, premium live events. But in my heart, they'll always be pay-per-views.
Even though we don't pay-per-view.
Well, technically, I think we do pay-per-view because we pay for Peacock each month. And if you break that down, I think it'll come out to a few cents per view.
Well, that's a good deal. You can join us on our weekly episodes each Saturday and on our special PLE bonus episodes, which is what you are listening to right now.
Yep, we decided our first episode should be a reflection on yesterday's Summer Slam 2024.
Or as I've coined it, Summer Slam-igans.
That's right, because of the sheer amount of shenanigans that happened on this particular PLE.
So without further ado, Brice, what do you want to talk about?
All right, calm down there, Cody Rhodes. Well, let's talk about how we actually sat down and recorded this immediately after SummerSlam, but nothing recorded because somebody forgot to unmute the mic audio.
I wonder who that was. Oops.
So let's jump into take two by starting with the set. What are your thoughts on the set?
I loved the set. I loved that it was super minimalistic. I thought it was cool because you could see more of the crowd. It was very like rock and roll, which is the vibe of this particular PLE. And I think they haven't done something like this in a while. So it was kind of really special to have something a little bit more simple so that they could focus on the rest of the production.
Yeah, I think the smaller set, it made it feel that much bigger. The crowd and everything like that. I think it's, special to have a set like that. I do like the idea of having smaller sets in the future, but maybe going big for like WrestleMania or something.
Yeah, I definitely don't think they should stop doing the large sets altogether. Because I do think that they're cool, but I think also like scaling back a little bit to kind of bring more focus into the ring, I think would be good too. But yeah, overall I thought it was really cool. What did you think about all the sponsorship?
I'm having a tough time with this one because I do think that it is good and it is the direction that the business is going to have sponsorships. But my fear is that they can become too distracting, right? They've got 3 sponsors on the ring canvas already.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they had for this one, and I think it didn't take away from the matches. But if as we go into the future, I think that's the max that you can put on there. Is one in each corner and one in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get to putting more, I think it's just going to be too distracting, especially if they start going with colors and stuff like that. Leaving on black or even the Wingstop one that was green is fine, but that's fine. But as far as the other sponsorships, I think you just got to choose a good color scheme, because that Straight Talk one that they had with the bright green on the barricades, it just visually threw me off.
Yeah, I think I agree with that as well. We definitely don't want to go like full NASCAR in the ring.
That's right. Well, what about the ref cam? That was something new for this PLE.
I think I liked it in theory, but in practice, I don't think it made a whole. It was very practical because the camera got really like gritty and gross really quickly, and the quality just wasn't there.
Yeah, and I think in theory you're right. It is probably a good idea. I don't think the placement of where it was at on the referee was very good. It must feel really unnatural to have it in your on your ear like that. I do like, some of the shots, the potential, I should say, that you could have with that, with some of the shots that you can get. I was watching something earlier on YouTube and they had mentioned maybe instead of showing this ref cam live in the match, use it as a replay camera or something. I think that's a good idea.
That's interesting. I did really like when Seth Rollins came out with it and you could see him like running through the crowd. That was a really cool angle to get.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm glad they didn't use it very often because I just think they kind of pivoted halfway through and said it's not really going to work.
Yeah, especially when Seth Rollins ripped his off like at the beginning of the match because it was bothering him.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Kate. Let's get into the show.
Let's do it.
All right. So we're gonna start with Jelly Roll. Actually, he opened up the show with a performance of America the Beautiful. Great rendition. I think he did a good job. And then Triple H comes out and basically asks him to perform another song, and that's where he performed Liar. And we got something very interesting with this performance.
Yeah, so he live performed Liar as they did the video package, which I thought was a really cool way of doing that, especially with like the rock and roll theme, having the live music there interjected with the video package. It was very different, but I thought it was really cool and a really exciting way to set everything off.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment. As somebody that loves the opening video packages on their pay per view events, as something that gets me hyped up for that pay per view, this one was really different, and I like how they incorporated it. It made me feel like not only was I at a concert, but I was getting ready for a huge, huge pay per view.
Yeah, I hope that they do this again. Maybe not every pay per view, but at least at some of the bigger ones, like a Royal Rumble or a WrestleMania.
Yeah, The Miz was our host for SummerSlam. He's from Cleveland. They were in Cleveland, and they did something different here as well. Instead of him coming out on stage, he was in the crowd welcoming us to SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think the whole theme here with like the things that they were doing is to make the crowd more of a presence as its own character within the story, which I think is really cool. And I think having the Miz come through the crowd was just perfect.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you say that, make the crowd their own, you know, performance within the.
Character within the
Yeah,
story.
character within the
Yeah.
story. I think that's interesting you say that because WWE has been doing a lot of international shows, and the crowds in the international market are arguably way louder than American crowds. And I think if they continue to incorporate a host or somebody going into the crowd like that, I think it'll get the American crowd more hyped up.
Yeah. I love that they're doing a lot more of the international stuff too, because it's literally like the name of the company is World Wrestling Entertainment. And it should reflect the whole world, not just USA.
Mhm. All right, let's get into these matches, huh? So the first match was Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship.
Yes, and I thought it would have been hysterical if they introduced this match with R-Truth saying it was a custody for Dom match because his whole thing is like saying people are from the past, like he called DIY DX and all of that. So I thought it would have been like a really like cheeky, good, like hysterical way to kind of set things in motion.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that would have been hilarious. We did get Corey Graves mention that Custody Dominic ladder match that happened at a previous SummerSlam. So could we be hinting at something in the future between Rhea and Liv in a custody for Dominic?
I would love to see that because I do love a goofy, silly match. However, the only thing I'm worried about is I don't know if they can do it in a dignified way because, like, having your two most powerful top women, like, literally having a match over a guy it like is not the best look, and especially when you like take it up a notch with that, I think it would be really difficult to not like degrade the women involved in the process. And I think they've done a good job of not doing that so far because Liv and Rhea are both total powerhouses. They both still have a lot of agency in this whole conflict that's been going on. I just think it would be really difficult, and I don't know if I trust WWE yet to be able to do that while not bringing down those two competitors.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment, but I'm also here for goofy wrestling. I love a good goofy wrestling match, like throw in a stupid storyline. I'm happy to see it.
Yes, I do love that stuff.
All right, so just a little bit about the match, just some key highlights. We had Rhea teasing Liv Morgan in the beginning of the match by kissing Dominic Mysterio on the cheek.
Mhm.
So, towards the beginning of the match, also, Liv Morgan's on the offensive,
Mhm.
and it looked like Rhea Ripley had possibly popped her shoulder out of place.
Mhm.
You could see this gnarly bump and everything like that. I don't know if it was actually popped out of place, but it looked pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I almost wonder if it was like an Alexa Bliss situation where she's like double jointed or something and can pop it in and out, sort of, so to speak. But it definitely looked like something really did happen.
Yeah, because and the ref was over there and was asking Rhea, what's going on? Are you okay? Can you continue? And she kept yelling, "My shoulder is out. My shoulder is out." But she also tells the ref not to stop the match. So Liv decides to target that shoulder and ends up kicking Rhea Ripley into the stairs outside of the ring. But eventually, Rhea gets up. She uses the announcer's table to pop her shoulder back into place.
Yeah, she slams herself into the announcer table to pop her shoulder back into place. What an absolute badass.
Absolutely. And then the match goes on. Liv eventually goes outside, grabs a chair. Rhea goes on the offensive so that way Liv can't hit her with the chair. Well, Rhea ends up grabbing the chair, right? And she has it above her head like she's going to hit Liv Morgan with it. But Dominic Mysterio comes in and grabs the chair and is yelling, saying, "Rhea, you cannot do this. You'll get disqualified. You won't win the title."
Hmm. Yeah, I thought this was a really interesting setup, especially considering what happens later. It kind of, I was not expecting something like this at all. Like, I think we were expecting maybe like a turn there, but it was played like he was on her side. And so it almost made me like, not, it made what did happen more shocking because it felt like he was going out of his way to be on her side in that moment.
Yeah. And although it did seem like he was on her side in that moment, it did cause enough of a distraction for Liv Morgan to take control of the match again.
Yeah, and the other part of it is like while he was trying to explain that to Rhea, Rhea is like telling him off, right? I wonder if that was the moment that he decided to do what he does next.
Yeah, it could be. I think he's might have been in cahoots with Liv the whole time,
Yeah.
but you know, we don't know.
Yeah.
But it's fun to speculate.
It is fun to speculate.
Yeah. So as Liv's on the offensive, Dominic grabs the chair again and throws it into the ring and distracts the referee. And Liv Morgan ends up hitting Rhea Ripley with the Oblivion onto the chair. The ref becomes not distracted anymore and counts the 1, 2, 3. Liv Morgan retains the Women's World Championship. What do you think about that ending?
Yes, and then she retains, and then Dom and her kiss. That is the most important part. So I think we definitely saw this coming. This is the ending that I wanted for the storyline. Although of course I would never wish any harm on Mommy, aka Rhea Ripley. I was like excited and shocked and booing and all of the things. It was honestly like one of the best moments of the night, the way that they played everything out, because he had stood, quote unquote, stood up for her like earlier in the match. You did like it, even though we kind of felt like it was coming. It The way that it all played out was so much more shocking.
Yeah. And this was just the first of the tomfoolery that would play out, or should I say DOM-foolery?
Yes, Summer Slam-igans
Yes.
galore.
Plenty shenanigans left in the show. But I think it's important to note a couple of things as after Dominic kisses Liv Morgan, you hear Pat McAfee actively say and call Dominic Mysterio a piece of shit. And Dominic Mysterio flips off the crowd. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, especially because when you watch the show, anytime someone gets flipped off, they've shut the screen off, or they've like silenced the whole program anytime someone says something they're not supposed to.
Yeah, so I think that's interesting that they're doing, they're pushing the boundaries a little bit more as they're heading into moving to Netflix.
Yes, I'm really excited about the Netflix move. I think we're going to get more and more of like this edgier content they couldn't do on their current programming, so I'm really excited about that.
Well, after Dominic flips off the crowd, we cut to backstage to the Judgment Day clubhouse, and where Damian Priest is freaking out, saying, "Where's Dominic? I'm going to hurt him. I'm going to take care of this." Blah blah blah. Give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I kind of love the like relationship that Damian Priest and Rhea have. It's almost like a brother sister type thing, and I think it's really cool, and I want to see them continue to work together. So I hope, if this leads to a Judgment Day break, that they still get to work together and we get to kind of see like this co ed feud between the different sides of the Judgment Day.
I will say on the kickoff that they did, Damian Priest called him and Rhea the Terror Twins, and I'm all for this. Let's do a co-ed tag team.
Yes.
Let's do this. But I do want to point out something in this Judgment Day clubhouse, and we'll talk about this more later on in the podcast. But there was a cooler above Finn Balor with the demon on it. If you don't know, Finn Balor's alter ego is the demon. And now this cooler has been in the clubhouse before, but it's always been randomly placed. And ever since Bray Wyatt's original return and the Wyatt Six, I've always looked for things in the background. Never thought to do that before then, but I've always looked for things in the background now. And the fact that it was placed just above him in this segment was quite interesting to me.
So, do you think that Finn is the one that's destroying the locker room?
I do. I think it can be insinuated that he has been in cahoots with Liv Morgan, but I think we've been planting the seeds for Finn Balor because he deserves so much more. You know, to me, the fact that he's only been, world champion once since he's been on the main roster is a crime. Okay. So I think we're going to start to see his frustration play out. And, it's just very interesting to me that, he could have very well possibly been the one destroying the clubhouse and writing liars and stuff like that and making it look like it was Liv Morgan.
Mm. Well, we could talk a little bit more about that when it comes to the later match with Damien, but let's talk about our next match.
Yeah, that was Braun Breaker versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. I'll just say this match was short and sweet, but I actually liked the match. I thought both superstars were showcased very well in this. I didn't think it was a squash, even though it was a short match. I didn't feel like it was a squash match.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both men are extremely talented, very athletic, and I think this match being one of the only ones without Summer Slam-igans, so to speak, and just being like an outright showcase of talent, I think we needed some of that to kind of break up the other matches as well. I think there were a lot of really impressive moments. And of course, I am happy with the outcome, even though I love Sami Zayn. I think Braun Breaker is very deserving of the IC championship.
Yeah, so one move in particular that I love to see is when Braun Breaker hits that Frankensteiner off the top rope.
Yes.
That move is, what would you say? Chef's kiss?
Chef's kiss, yes. Um, Especially what I really loved about that particular Frankensteiner too was that like both men were like did it so like artistically. Like the way that Sammy sold it was just as good as the way that Braun hit it, and it was just like really cool and believable and just really showcased both men. It was a very well executed move.
Yeah. And other than that, I don't think there was very many memorable moments in that match, but overall, a solid match. Braun Breaker wins clean in the middle of the ring with the 1-2-3. We have a new Intercontinental Champion in
Mhm.
Braun Breaker. And I think this guy, in my opinion, Braun Breaker's young, but the fact that he's won the Intercontinental Championship within 4 months of being on the main roster speaks a lot. And I believe he's probably going to be one of the ones that is going to be a solid main eventer, world champion in the next year, couple years going into the future.
Yeah, I could see him having like a similar career to like a Randy Orton as far as like longevity and just kind of like being a workhorse for the company. I'm
Mm-hmm.
really excited to see what he does.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or however they do it.
Yeah, them dogs.
Got them dogs out.
All right, let's talk about Logan Paul versus L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
It's
Gosh.
for the United States Championship match. Um, we get Logan Paul coming out, and there's a security guard. Turns out to be Machine Gun Kelly. All right, he accompanies Logan down to the ring. But what I thought was interesting was there was an additional security guard following Logan to the ring. Were they anticipating a fan to jump the barricade or something?
Probably he was not well received in his hometown. Honestly, deserving. I do not like Logan Paul as a human, and the crowd didn't either. They booed him mercilessly.
They booed him. They were chanting, "Fuck you, Logan." Like, he is not well liked. Now, I'll give him his flowers for what he's able to do in the ring.
Yeah, I think that he's proven himself to be a talented wrestler. I think that he has really interesting moments. I think that he is just a built in heel, but it's because he's a genuinely unlikable person.
Yeah, and if we didn't see basically his whole life the last 10 or so years or however long he's been doing this social media stuff, I think if he would have wanted to pursue wrestling instead of that, he could have gone up through the ranks of NXT and stuff like that and very much been a WWE superstar.
Yeah.
He's got the talent.
Yep.
Well, we
But
get
unfortunately, we know too much about him to be able to, for him to ever be a baby face. He is just not a good human.
yeah. Well, then we get LA Knight coming out to the ring. He brings back Logan Paul's truck and takes a pipe to the window.
Yeah. I was a little disappointed by this. First of all, I really thought he should have driven that out to the ring. I think that just having it in the back was kind of like a little bit of a letdown. And then he goes to break the window and botches it, which,
The window doesn't even break the first time.
yeah, so that wasn't great. Um, I also thought it wasn't enough. I wanted like stone cold pouring concrete into Vince McMahon's car level of destruction,
Yeah.
and all I got was a broken window with a pipe.
Yeah, at least spray paint it or something.
Yeah, just like freaking destroy that thing, you know?
Yeah. So this match was very interesting. It was a good back and forth. Before the match even starts, Logan Paul attacks LA Knight, and there's a brawl outside of the ring. They, tear up the top of the announce table. LA Knight ends up trying to put Logan Paul through the announce table, doesn't break.
Yeah. Sometimes though I think that that is purposeful because those hits also like hit pretty hard when it doesn't break, you know?
Yeah. Overall, I think this match was probably one of the better matches of the night,
I think it was solid. It was good.
but we got some shenanigans.
Of course, Summer Slam-igans.
Yes. Um, of course, we get, Logan's entourage in the front row there, along with Machine Gun Kelly.
Mm,
And LA Knight pulls two of the guys. I don't know their names, but he pulls two of the guys over the barricade, beats them up a little bit, and eventually we get to Logan Paul asking for brass knuckles.
Before we get to that, can we also talk about Machine Gun Kelly's shirt?
Yeah, talking about Ricky from Trailer Park Boys.
He's not even from the park.
Well, if you want my opinion on the shirt, it was decent. Yeah, so Logan Paul asking for brass knuckles. It just so happens Machine Gun Kelly was wearing a necklace that had a brass knuckles on it, and he gives them to Logan Paul. What is with this guy? This guy has all the talent. Why does he need to use brass knuckles every single time?
It's because he's lazy. He wants the instant gratification. He has the talent and skill to be able to win matches. He just chooses to take shortcuts. I will say, what was that move he did that was pretty impressive?
So he did a springboard moonsault off the top rope, but the way he got into it, he did this weird flippy spinny, and I don't think I've ever seen that before in a wrestling ring.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. So you're out here doing stuff like that, but then you got to use brass knuckles to win, except guess what? It didn't work this time.
That's true.
We have a new United States champion in LA Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before we move on, I just want to point out another really cool move that I saw in that match. It was LA Knight. He was on the middle rope, right? And he ends up jumping from the middle rope to the top rope, just a straight vertical jump, no assistance with his hands, nothing like that, and then does a cool move on Logan Paul.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
That was really cool too. I think another thing that I was disappointed by though was that Eminem didn't come out and beat the crap out of Machine Gun Kelly. I was really hoping we would get that. Him come out to like Houdini and be like, abracadabra.
Yeah. Now, yeah, that would have been cool. I don't know if Eminem would ever partake in a WWE event, but that would be really cool. So, moving on, we spoke about the sponsorships earlier.
Yes.
But our next segment is probably the greatest sponsorship advertisement I have ever seen in my life.
It was beautiful. It was a work of art.
At first, I was a little off put by it because Baron Corbin was shaving Apollo Crews' head with a Manscaped, electric razor.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But then we get Otis, Maxine, and Akira Tozawa come in talking about these Manscaped products. And Otis, I love Otis, first of all.
Yes. Free Otis.
And he's over there, ooh, yeah, like his weird, thing. He takes his shirt off and starts moving the razor down to what we think is going to be a place they can't show on TV. But then he starts shaving his belly.
It was
It
glorious.
was amazing.
This is what the Wyatt Six has fought for, so that we could get moments like this.
Exactly. And the best part, the ad cuts off and we think it's over. But then it comes back on. And Otis is just in the mirror, moving his belly around and shaving it in the mirror. How perfect is that?
It was chef's kiss.
All right, you ready for the next match?
I think I'm ready.
Our Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax, versus Bayley for the WWE Women's Championship.
First, I would like to talk about the outfits. Bailey's outfit was amazing. It is probably what I would wear if I was ever a women's wrestler. It's my three favorite colors: purple, lime green, and blue. I loved like the tassels and I love the colors, and it looks great with her purple hair. I just loved this look on her. Now, Nia Jax, I do not like the crown they've made for her. To me, it looks like tinfoil. I think that they could do better. Like, Nia Jax is a glam queen, and I think she deserves better. She deserves something like covered in Swarovski crystals, or however you pronounce that. It needs to be like to the nines, and instead we get like this weird welded together thing. And I may be biased because I don't really like the color silver. I'm a gold girly through and through. I just think there. I wanted more, and I think that Nia Jax can pull that off.
Yeah, she definitely deserves all the sparkles and jewels and everything like that. Could have had a better crown, in my opinion. One thing I like to point out while we're watching wrestling is crowd signs.
Yeah.
And there's one you noticed.
Yes. That harkens back to Nia Jax's comment that said BBL Bailey.
Oh gosh, I love a good crowd sign. All right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We get a couple of good spots in this match. Overall, really good match.
Yeah,
Right?
I think it was solid. I don't think it was spectacular or on the level of Liv and Rhea. But I think it was good, and I especially thought that power bomb by Bailey was amazing. So much talent and strength and power. I loved that.
I think it was an excellent display of strength on Bailey's end. Nia Jax is on the middle rope, and Bailey gets her in power bomb and basically walks her out to the middle of the ring
Hmm.
and then slams her. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, We think that Bailey has the upper hand, but then do you know what time it is?
Tiffy time!
We get Tiffany Stratton coming out with her new Chanel Barbie Money in the Bank briefcase,
We love Tiffy time.
and she's about to cash in. Or was she?
That's right. Nia Jax. Bailey gets distracted by Tiffy time, and Nia Jax comes in and gets the win.
She gives Bailey multiple annihilators and beats her. 1, 2, 3. Nia Jax is your new WWE Women's Champion.
I'm a little sad that Bailey didn't have a longer reign. I think that she deserves it. But I think as far as where this storyline is going, I'm interested to see what Tiffy Time and Nia Jax end up doing together.
Yeah, out of all the title matches, this is the only title that should have should have stayed where it was, right?
Hmm.
Or let me rephrase that. I think Bailey should have held the title for longer because Bailey one deserves it. I think she needs to be somebody that has a long title reign to establish more credibility in her.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that she should be on the level of, well, I think she already is on the level, but as far as like earning the respect, I think that she can go toe to toe with like a Becky Lynch. I think people are rooting for her. I think people like her. She's a fan like us too. Like she grew up, watching the product. She is friends with like all the right people in the business. She's been a sponge over these past few years, and I really feel like she's starting to come into her own. I think her promos are feeling more genuine. Um, I think that she's tapping into something, and I want to see more of her because of that.
Yeah, and hopefully she gets her rematch. Hopefully she gets her title back. I don't know if she will because of the storyline I think they're heading in with Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I am excited about that storyline. Again, I love Tiffy Time. I think that her and Naya have like such like a cute and interesting um relationship, like kind of how they play off together, and I'm excited to see where that goes.
I have a question for you.
What?
Are you ready to talk about the match that I was most looking forward to?
Are you talking Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and your favorite CM Punk?
That's right. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with Seth Rollins as the special guest referee. First and foremost, let's talk about Seth's referee outfit.
I love. I love all of Seth's outfits. I love all of the pomp and circumstance and just like outlandishness. He is a fashion icon. And I did love this like sparkly striped coat that he came out in.
Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. I'm not really a huge fan of all of the sparkles and everything else, but you know what? It works for him. He did have the ref cam, all right. And as we said earlier, it was really cool to see what he sees in his entrance. Do
Yeah.
that for more wrestlers. I want to get just as pumped.
Yes, that was really cool, especially because he does a lap around the ring and high fives everybody, and we got to like see that through his eyes. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Then he sheds the coat, and let's talk about the outfit underneath. He has the sparkly tank top with the see through stripes. He has sparkly, flowy pants. I think I have a very similar pair of pants. And this outfit is an homage to when Shawn Michaels was a guest referee back in the day.
Not only that, Drew McIntyre's outfit in
Mm-hmm.
his entrance was an homage to The Undertaker, and CM Punk wore the pink for Bret Hart. And if you probably don't remember because you've never seen the match,
Nope.
but Shawn Michaels guest refereed the Undertaker versus Bret Hart match at SummerSlam back in the day, and Shawn Michaels had the tank top, you know. So it's very interesting to see that. You talked about loving their outfits, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Bailey and Nia and all that, right? I don't pay attention as much to the outfits, but I do look for good callbacks
Mm-hmm.
and throwbacks, and I also look for cosplay type. You know, like Zelina Vega has some of the best ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Alexa Bliss does too.
Yeah. So CM Punk probably had one of the largest pops of the night so far,
Mm-hmm.
and you know me. This is my childhood. I I was just excited to see Cult of Personality and see CM Punk come out.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I wasn't watching when he first came around, but I've always really liked him and I liked what I've seen of him. So I'd really like to see more of him and get to actually see him, wrestle long term without getting injured. I do also want to let our listeners know that when CM Punk came out, Brice did cry. This is a regular occurrence when it comes to wrestling. So I will be letting you know when it happens. He is sort of known for getting a little worked up over the product.
Yeah, because it's my childhood and it's still real to me, damn it. All right? And not only that, I think it's okay for grown men to have emotions about certain things.
Hey, I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. I love that you're my big tough softy.
Yeah. So CM Punk's in the ring, takes his jacket off, and throws it, lands on Seth Rollins. Seth takes the jacket and wipes his ass with it.
Gross.
You talk about Summer Slam-igans.
Mhm.
This match was about to be all of the Summer Slam-igans.
Yes, it was full to the brim.
Now, there's a lot of people out there that didn't want a special guest referee for this.
Hmm.
They thought it was going to be a distraction. Just let CM Punk and Drew McIntyre fight, right? I personally liked the special guest referee aspect because we haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it was really necessary because I'm invested in the story between the three of them, and I think that it needed to be like we needed to see the three of them kind of in a feud situation. And I, first of all, love Seth Rollins, so I was just excited to see what he did in this role.
Exactly. Now, what about the crowd signs here? I found a crowd sign that I loved in this match. Do it for AJ and Larry,
Yes, I love
especially Larry, you know?
Larry's the best. I was a little disappointed that Larry didn't get involved in this match. I feel like he really could have been a game changer.
For sure, for sure. So, as the match is starting, Seth Rollins basically doesn't care what's happening. He's not even paying attention to what's happening on the outside, or he's telling CM Punk, "Yeah, continue to do that. Hit Drew McIntyre's head on the steel steps. Continue."
Well, if you remember, CM Punk was under the ring and he turned his back so that Drew could slam him using the ring itself.
Or how about when they're outside of the ring, fighting, doing whatever the hell they want? Seth Rollins is in the ring conducting the crowd to sing his music, not even looking
Yes.
at what's happening with the match.
Yes. Also, the moment where he was laying in the corner like it was a hammock, while Drew and CM Punk just beat the ever loving crap out of each other. I loved the silliness in the beginning, and I also think it wasn't overdone, especially as the match went on and got more serious.
Yeah. And I think there were a couple of good spots in this match. Um, it's always good to see CM Punk looking good, in great shape, and giving an Anaconda Vice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I haven't seen him doing an Anaconda Vice in some time. And the fact that he did it and he allowed himself to get distracted by the bracelet on Drew McIntyre's wrist.
Yes.
He's been saying that Drew is the one letting all these distractions get to him, but he allowed himself to get distracted.
Yeah, it was definitely a powerful callback.
Yes. So CM Punk gets the bracelet off of Drew McIntyre's wrist. It lands on the mat. Seth Rollins ends up picking it up and putting it on his wrist. Well, CM Punk has Drew up in a go to sleep, right? And that's when he notices the bracelet on Seth Rollins' wrist. And once again, he allows that to be a distraction to him. He goes over and hits Rollins. But then he gets the GTS on Drew McIntyre. At this point, Seth Rollins is outside of the ring from the hit. CM Punk pins Drew McIntyre. Seth makes his way back into the ring to count. Only gets 2 count. Technically, it was like a 20 count,
Yeah.
right? CM Punk is mad at Seth Rollins for not counting the 3. And he ends up giving a GTS to Rollins. And he got his bracelet back.
Mm-hmm.
CM Punk has hit this GTS on Rollins. It gives Drew McIntyre the opportunity to low blow CM Punk
Mm-hmm.
and hit a Claymore. And then Rollins ends up counting the 3 count. Drew McIntyre wins.
Yep. It's really like a poetic ending, considering this whole time Drew McIntyre has been the one that's distracted. CM Punk has been throwing that in his face. And then it ends up being CM Punk's downfall.
Yeah.
The Brotherhood of the Traveling Bracelet.
Needless to say, I was very upset by this outcome. I think we should have given CM Punk the win, especially for it being his first singles match in WWE since 2014.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I also think that it makes a lot of sense to give Drew the win on this one because I think that he needs the momentum to push the storyline forward. Because I think we're leading up to some kind of triple threat match, and so I'm really excited for that. And I think that giving him that win makes the most sense for the story to not be over.
Yeah, because Drew McIntyre ended up taking the bracelet back after
Mm-hmm.
he pinned CM Punk. So are we going to end up seeing a triple threat ladder match?
Yes, triple threat ladder match for the bracelet.
Or a Larry on a pole match?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, Larry could have been the game changer in this.
Yes. And out of all the shenanigans that took place in this match, there was one shenanigan that did not happen that I was hoping would happen, and that would be AJ Lee getting involved.
Yeah, I like AJ Lee. I follow her on socials, but I've never seen her like wrestle in the company.
And I think AJ Lee would quite possibly be your favorite women's wrestler.
Yeah.
Yes. She has this style about her. She's excellent at promos, and she's good in the ring.
Yeah. I don't disagree based on what I've seen. I haven't been watching long enough to have watched her when she was originally there. It also sounds like she's really busy, and so I wasn't really expecting her on this. But if she decides to come, it'll be welcome, and I'd be excited to see what she does.
All right, are we ready for Gunther versus Damian Priest for the WWE Championship?
Excuse me, who?
Da Can't do it.
Duh.
No,
Let me do
no,
it.
let me try.
Okay.
Da Ring General.
Da ring general. Gunther.
So this match was a solid match. I really liked this match. To me, in a landscape of wrestling where we get a lot of moves that don't seem very impactful or there's a lot of flippy spinnies, this was a straight up stand them up and punch them, brawl, slow, methodical, classic wrestling match.
Yes, it was very like tactile and strategic, and I think for these characters that made a lot of sense. And there were some hard hits.
Yeah, some hard hits. In fact, Gunther's kind of known as the king of chops.
Mm-hmm.
But Damian Priest delivered some chops of his own that, in fact, made Gunther bleed.
Yeah.
Like, legit bleed.
I can't remember. I think it was The Simpsons. There was like this character that was like, "You made me bleed my own blood." That's what it made me think of.
Oh, yeah, I think so. There's two instances. There's a line in Dodgeball
Uh-huh.
he goes, "Nobody makes me bleed my own blood."
Yes.
And then there's Nelson, the bully from The Simpsons, that's like, "You made me bleed my own blood." Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Yes, I think Nelson was the one I was thinking of.
Yes, yes. So the match was just, there wasn't a lot of flippy, there wasn't any flippy spinnies. There was good brute wrestling.
Yeah, and I think we needed that to kind of break up everything else that went on, to kind of provide something different. I think some people don't like it just because they don't like that style of wrestling, and that's fine. But I almost harken it back to up until their summer shenanigans that happened in this match. Um, the Braun Breaker, Sami Zayn, where it was more about the wrestling than like and showcasing the talent of the two wrestlers. And I think they did a really good job of that.
Yeah, so not much more we can say about the wrestling aspect of it. So let's get into these shenanigans.
Yes, the the
Finn Balor.
the Finnegans.
Finn Balor comes out, and once again, it seems like we got him there to maybe help Priest out, right?
Mhm.
But that doesn't happen. Priest ends up pinning Gunther close to the ropes, and Finn Balor puts Gunther's leg on the rope.
Dun dun dun.
Now, I want to say earlier, Gunther landed a kick in the face to Finn Balor. So Finn wasn't there to help Gunther. He was just there to turn his back on Priest.
Yes.
We get an interesting camera angle here
Mm-hmm.
where they're playing the replay of what happens in the kick out. Or not the kick out, the foot on the ropes.
Yeah. So Damien doesn't see Finn actually do that until they replay it on the Megatron.
Megatron?
Whatever it's called.
It's not Transformers, Kate.
I don't know. I forget sometimes.
Jumbotron.
Jumbotron.
Well, so he's watching this replay, and the camera shot is lined up to where you can see Damian Priest looking at the Jumbotron and watching the replay.
Yeah, I think they utilized that really well. I liked a lot of the like unique camera angles that they did throughout the whole show. There was another moment where like Gunther was sitting on the rope and they were zooming in on Gunther, but in the Jumbotron behind him, you could see Damian Priest coming to knock him out of that position. So it was just really cool the way that they did some of those angles.
Yep. So I think Damian Priest's frustration with Finn Balor here was his ultimate demise.
Mm-hmm.
Gunther gets him in a chokehold and looks like he's about to pass out. He somehow wills up some strength, gets out of it, and as soon as he gets out of it, instead of focusing on the match, he goes straight to Finn Balor.
Yes. I really love how they did this because it they did it without like making Damien look weak. Like the fact that he powered out of that what was it called?
Chokehold?
The fact that he powered out of that chokehold was pretty impressive. And then of course he goes after Finn, which ends up costing him the match.
Yeah. So Gunther ends up power bombing Damian Priest again, puts him back in the chokehold. Priest passes out. Gunther wins the title. He is now your new WWE champion.
Honestly, well deserved. I think Gunther is phenomenal. I um I think I love that he is like this stoic, calm and brute character amongst a lot of kind of like more high energy, flamboyant Seth Rollins type characters. I'm really excited to see what he does with the WWE Championship, and I think it was well deserved. I do, however, wish we could have gotten Damian Priest a little bit longer. I think I still want more, but I think that what happened was necessary to push the storyline along, and I'm really invested in this storyline. I want to see what happens with the Judgment Day after this.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be must see on Monday Night Raw to see
Hmm.
the fallout of this. But let's go back and talk a little bit about Finn Balor and our theory, or my theory, that he's orchestrating and pulling the strings behind this whole thing of destroying the Judgment Day clubhouse and stuff.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking about it, and I almost wonder what if it's not Finn destroying the clubhouse? What if it's the demon?
Right. And that makes perfect sense if the placement of the cooler in the earlier segment ties in at all.
Yeah, I think in a recent interview, Finn was talking about how they haven't done much with the demon and the wild. Like, they haven't had him come out as the demon for a long time, and people love that gimmick. So I'm hoping this leads to more of that.
Yeah, I definitely think having the demon come back, because the last time we saw the demon was against Edge,
Hmm.
when they kicked Edge out of the Judgment Day.
Oh, I forgot Edge was in the Judgment Day.
He started it.
I've completely forgot
On
about
this day.
You think you know me?
Anyway, yeah, I think maybe the demon might have, you know, gotten into Finn's head about, and made him realize that he deserves more. He deserves to be a champion again. I think, isn't aren't they the tag team champions right now?
I don't think so. Who is the tag team
I
champion?
think they are. Let me look it up real quick.
While you look that up, I think, though, that sentiment is a reflection of what a lot of people have right now. I think that a lot of people are like, hey, Finn should be on the level of a Seth Rollins, of a Drew McIntyre. And I kind of feel like the Judgment Day has been holding him back. So I'm excited to see what this new era of the Judgment Day and the fallout of all of this does for Finn Balor.
Yeah, exactly. And so currently, yes, Finn Balor and JD McDonagh are the world tag team champions.
Gotcha.
But when I'm saying he deserves to be a champion, I mean a world champion, a WWE champion.
Mm-hmm.
A singles title. He deserves that.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's transition into our main event. But before we get to that main event, we get the Miz and R-Truth again.
Yes.
They're out there to announce the attendance. We get Grayson Waller and Austin Theory come down to the ring. I can't stand these guys. They got very punchable faces.
They remind me of like high school bullies.
Yeah.
Like the pretty jock boys that would like make fun of the band kids or whatever.
Yeah. Because, in fact, they were kind of insulting Jelly Roll.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And you don't insult Jelly Roll.
It's funny because R-Truth called them Ricky Martin and Robert Gibson, I believe.
Yeah, I only know Ricky Martin. I don't know who the other person is. So feel free to educate us. You can tweet at us at BK Wrestling Pod. So I apologize for my ignorance. Also, it's still Twitter to me. So
Yeah, so R-Truth or Miz rather says to R-Truth, "No, that's not these musicians, right?" And he said, "Well, if that's not them, then who is that?" And Jelly Roll is in the corner with a steel chair.
yes.
He hits Austin Theory with the chair,
Mm-hmm.
and then Grayson Waller. And then we get the most beautiful choke slam that has graced our screens in quite some time.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Jelly Roll's choke slam. Like it was very well done.
The height that Austin Theory got on that choke slam, a one-handed choke slam, mind you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Typically, they put their other hand on the other wrestler's back to kind of help pull them up in the air. But no, Jelly Roll one-handed choke slammed him down to the mat, and then we get a little bit of "you can't see me."
Yep.
Little
Five knuckle shuffle.
five knuckle shuffle.
Or 15 rather if you add the Miz and R-Truth.
Yes. Jelly Roll, The Miz, and R-Truth hit a five knuckle shuffle onto Austin Theory. And it was amazing to see this celebrity come in and just live out a childhood dream.
Yes, I think they need to do more of that so that we can, because it's kind of like us living vicariously through these celebrities getting to do these things. It reminds me of when Pat McAfee got to wrestle with Stone Cold at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Which by the way, we were in attendance at that WrestleMania.
Yes, we were. Don't even get me started on WrestleMania 38. Probably one of the greatest moments of my life.
Besides our wedding day, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Turd.
absolutely. So yes, that was awesome. So let's get into our main event. Solo Sikoa, the Timu tribal chief, versus the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, for the undisputed WWE Championship. Adrenaline, da da da, something something, Cody Rhodes. So this is a bloodline rules match, okay? And Solo comes out to the ring by himself. Doesn't have the rest of this Wish.com great value bloodline. Okay? And that's very interesting to me. But Cody Rhodes makes his entrance from his tour bus with his dog, Pharaoh.
Yes, we love the doggo content.
Yes, this is Pharaoh's last time. Cody said that he's 13 years old and that he's ready to live a slower life.
Yes, his enhancement talent, as he called him.
No, he called his other dog his enhancement talent.
Oh, right, because that's going to be who's traveling with him now.
I think so. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the jobber. We get an interesting shot. We see Arn Anderson
hmm
backstage talking to Cody Rhodes, which, by the way, the legends that they showcased at this SummerSlam was amazing. We had X Pac, Kevin Nash, Diamond Dallas Page, and the Steiner brothers.
Yeah, I think the way that they incorporated them was pretty cool. I also think something that we learned during the press conference that they sent a mass communication out to all the wrestlers, all the active wrestlers, about the legends that were going to be in attendance. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and they gave them one sheets on them. Like,
Yeah,
and I think Cody was the one that said it in the press conference, and it's very good for somebody who hasn't grown up watching wrestling,
yeah.
right? Like a Tiffany Stratton, you know?
hmm Honestly, they should release the one sheets, because I think there's a lot of people like myself who didn't grow up watching or who weren't alive when some of these people were watching that are getting into it now, and I think could be a good jumping off point for people to learn about these wrestlers.
Yeah, that would be really cool because all we have now are documentaries and people passing on the lore,
Mhm.
you know? Like, it's my responsibility to pass on the lore and legends and educate somebody new like you
Mhm.
on what happened in the past. So before we get into the match and all the shenanigans, crowd signs,
Yes.
manifesting Roman Reigns,
Yes. I love a good manifestation, girly.
and one that I found interesting. There was a sign that said, "Hear me out, Solo Sokoa, drink water out of Lake Erie."
So I don't know what they mean by that. Is this like a Cleveland something that I don't know about? My assumption is just that it's gross based on what I know about Galveston. Um, Living in Texas, it's kind of gross. So I imagine like an enclosed area surrounded by very large cities is probably like gross. Is it just the gross, or is there something else going on that we are uneducated on? Feel free to educate us at, again, our Twitter channel at BKW Wrestling Pod. It's still Twitter to me, damn it.
There was another sign that said Solo Suck Koa. Solo Suck Koa.
Hmm.
All right, so the match overall, very basic wrestling match. There was nothing really over the top. We saw a few Cody cutters. We saw a couple disaster kicks, a couple moves from Solo Sikoa. First of all, Solo does not deserve to be in this spot, in my opinion, but I understand why they do it for the storyline.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I see getting upset about Solo in the position that he's in, but in my opinion, that is the gimmick. The gimmick is that he doesn't deserve any of this and that he's an illegitimate head of the table. Like that is the storyline, you know? So I don't understand why people are like, "Oh, they shouldn't be doing this." Like that's the story. That's the gimmick, you know?
Oh, yeah. I think I agree with you on that. I agree with that sentiment. He's illegitimate. I think that is the gimmick. The match in a nutshell was okay. It wasn't great. It
It was
was it
good,
was
but not
good.
great.
It wasn't great. But what made it great was
Summer Slam-igans.
dun dun dun. So we get Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa come out to attack Cody Rhodes. Okay? And they put a beat down on him for a good amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, Tonga Loa, I don't think he has it, man. He every time he's been in some kind of physicality, there's been a botch.
Is that the one that does the Chihuahua laugh?
No, that's Tama Tonga. Tonga Loa has the eye patch.
Gotcha. What do you mean by botch? Like, can you?
So he's had a couple of botches. I believe the first one was missing his cue to attack, like to be a surprise attack.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was a botched low blow. And this one that happened in this match, he went to push Cody Rhodes into the corner and missed the corner.
Gotcha. I didn't even notice that.
He hit Cody Rhodes, or he pushed Cody Rhodes into the ropes just to the right of the corner, and so he had to redo it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, eventually we get Kevin Owens come out, and he
Yes.
starts putting a beat down.
We love some KO.
We love Kevin Owens. Well, they're still outnumbered, so out comes Randall.
Randall Keith Orton. RKO out of nowhere.
Yep. So Randy comes out and he's ready to put a
Randy.
beat down on. We see an RKO. We see a stunner from Kevin Owens.
Love it.
And then we see Randy and Kevin chase the Tongans out of the arena through the crowd.
Can I say something a little controversial here?
Sure.
I love Kevin Owens and I love RKO. And I of course love to see them involved. However, I was a little disappointed that it was them because based on the interaction with Arn Anderson at the beginning, I thought maybe some legends would get involved. Like, we had DDP, X Pac,
Kevin Nash.
and Kevin Nash there. Like, maybe they were going to get involved somehow. So, yeah, like, I'm not disappointed. I'm not like distraught, so to speak. But I was expecting like something different than, what had been happening.
Yeah, I can see your point there, but I don't think getting the legends involved would have been the right call since they just had legends get involved 4 months ago at WrestleMania.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people were expecting Jey Uso. The crowd was even yeeting at the beginning of this match. But I think that wasn't necessarily the move either, considering he is blood to the bloodline. I think that they want to build to something bigger to get him back involved with that group. And I think that he needs to get like a push on his own without all of these other characters involved.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. I do think we are going to build to Bloodline Civil War at War Games. So I think it's important because the last time we saw Roman, he, basically isolated the Usos and Jey Uso. And so he's got to go and ask for forgiveness, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
makes sense not to have Jey come out. But
Especially considering what happened next.
we get Jacob Fatu come out and he lands two beautiful moonsaults on Cody from the top rope.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with him. I think he seems like more of a threat than the Tongans do, and I think that he's more interesting to watch. I obviously am not rooting for him because I am anti bloodline, but I do want to see more of him.
Yeah. And we also get an interesting spot where he gets Cody onto the announce table and Jacob goes up to the top rope and jumps from the top rope to the announce table and hits Cody. But in the process, it looked like he hurt his leg.
Yeah, I will say that move in and of itself was really impressive. But of course, it does look like he got hurt.
And, I hope he didn't actually get hurt, but I think he might have. And I think maybe the reason why it took so long for the next person to come out was because we were supposed to have somebody else come out.
Yeah.
So now it's time.
To talk about the big reveal of the evening.
Put your one in the air and acknowledge our original, true tribal chief. Roman Reigns returns to maybe one of the loudest pops he has ever received.
That is definitely true. I will not be raising my one for Roman Reigns, but that's just because I don't recognize the legitimacy of the bloodline altogether because I'm anti authority. I do not recognize either tribal chief, either the Timu chief or the original tribal chief. So I will not be joining you, but I will say that was the first time I ever saw you put your finger up and acknowledge the tribal chief.
That is true.
I could see all of like the goosebumps on your arms as you did it too.
I love a good return, especially when they're returning as a babyface.
Yep. It was definitely a good return. It was, there was speculation that it would happen, but the way that they did it, I wouldn't say it was like spectacular or flamboyant, but it was just that like calm, collected presence of Roman Reigns that we are used to.
Yeah. And that presence, right? He just kind of stoically walked to the ring and took it all in.
Mm-hmm.
And once he got about, I don't know, 30 feet from the ring is when he ran in. Looked like he was maybe looking at Cody Rhodes, but then immediately turns, delivers a Superman punch to Solo, and then follows up with a spear.
Yep.
Our tribal chief is back.
He's put the Great Value brand tribal chief in his place.
And I think he also put that Dollar General bloodline on notice.
Yep, definitely.
So Cody ends up hitting a few Cody cutters, or not Cody cutters. He hits a few crossroads,
Mm-hmm.
gets the 1, 2, 3, and still your undisputed WWE champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
Yes, I was really happy with this outcome. I want him to have a long reign. I want to see him, live out this story. I think there was also this like poetic duality with the last time that we saw Roman Reigns was when he lost the title. And then the next time we saw him, he's helping Cody Rhodes retain the title.
Yeah, it's definitely quite interesting. I think there's a mutual respect between the two. I still don't think they like each other.
Yeah, I definitely don't think even though it was the outcome, I don't think Roman Reigns went down there to protect Cody Rhodes. I think he needed to defend himself and to put Solo in his place.
So overall, probably one of the best Summer Slams of all time. It's up there, right?
Definitely in a long time.
What are your key takeaways? What are your highs? What are your lows for this SummerSlam?
I think my high was definitely the Relive match. I love both of those women as characters and as competitors. I think they were just absolute badasses in the ring. They fought tooth and nail, they fought hard, but they also had an interesting storyline, and I'm excited to see what happens next. in the saga, and I want to see Rhea exact her revenge. I think the low for me, probably Bailey and Nia. I think it was a good match, but it was the one that I don't think lived up to the other matches in this particular event.
Yeah, I definitely agree with those. I definitely think that the Rhea Liv match was probably the best match of the night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say my low though is gonna be CM Punk losing,
Mm-hmm.
and my high is going to be seeing CM Punk in his first singles match since 2014.
So CM Punk was your high and your low.
Yeah, I went on a roller coaster ride in that match. Let me tell you what. I do think, I'm very sad to see Bailey lose the championship, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But, there you have it with SummerSlam. Or,
I'm surprised you didn't say Roman Reigns was your high.
well,
Didn't you cry at that one too?
maybe a little bit. But I just feel like CM Punk it's the nostalgia factor for me,
Mm-hmm.
Like Roman Reigns, we were kind of expecting him,
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
and I just hadn't seen CM Punk in a singles match in WWE in quite some time, and it was awesome to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you have it, SummerSlam, fantastic.
Summer Slam-igans galore.
Yes, 4 new champions. Let's see where these storylines go.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. If you like what you heard, join us next Saturday where we're going to talk about this week's Raw and SmackDown. And we're also going to discuss what got Brice and I into wrestling to begin with. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and follow BK Wrestling wherever you listen to podcasts. And we hope you join us then. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.